Hi everyone, welcome back to Stamp with Anna, and today I have another card for you. This is yet another customer thank you card, and this customer, among her orders, she ordered the Jar of Flowers bundle, and that is the Jar of Flowers stamp and the jar punch. These, when they first came out, were a bundle. I'm not quite sure if they're still at a 10% bundled savings, but you can check that out in the new catalog. So this is the stamp set I'm using. And this is a little labor intensive. I'm not going to kid you, but it's so pretty. I just love it. And I'm going to show you just the basics first, and then so here's what I used for my card base. It's Gorgeous Grape, which is a really nice rich color. I don't use this often. 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. Then I have 2 pieces of basic white, and they're both cut 4 by 5 1/4. One is going on the inside of my card, and one is on the outside of my card. Now, the products that I'm using, I will go through those with you as we get there, because I don't want to overwhelm you. I do need my Pierce mat because the Jar of Flower stamps are photopolymer, so you do need a stamp pad to get a nice crisp image. So the first thing I want to do is I have a piece of Stampin' Up's window sheet, and I'm going to stamp this first because I have to use Stays On, because it's on. If I used Memento or a regular stamp pad, it wouldn't stay. It would just smudge right off of this. So I'm not a fan of Stays On, but I do have some, and I use it as needed. So I'm going to use from the Jar of Flower stamp set. I'm going to use this jar here that has a little bit of the detail in it. And I'm going to ink that up really nicely with my Stays On. It's a little, my ink pad's a little dry because I use it so infrequently. And I'm going to stamp that, get a nice good image. I'm going to press down. And there it is. Oh, it's a little sticky. Up came right, my stamp pad came right off. All right. There is my image. Okay, I'm going to put that aside because I want to make sure that that dries really, really well. And because I have used Stays On with this, I'm going to clean my stamp. I'm going to clean it pretty quickly because I don't want it. I want to minimize the staining. The stamp is going to be stained because it is Stays On, but I want to get as much off as I can, and I'm using the Stampin' Up Stays On cleaner, and it's in a little roller ball, and you saw how we just applied that. And now I'm going to clean that off as quickly as I can on my scrubber, and see, it doesn't look that bad. But the trick to keeping your stamps that you use Stays On with as clean as possible is to get to them right away. So now that's off drying. Now I'm going to bring in one of my 4 1/4 by 5 pieces of basic white, and I'm going to stamp my flowers, my jar, and my stems. Now, it's a lot of stamps here. I'm bringing this stamp right back in. So these things I'm going to stamp in Memento because I'm going to color them with the colored pencils. So the first thing I want to do is, I'm going to show it to you here because you can see it better. I'm going to use this one right here, the stems. Actually, I'm going to do my bottle first. I'm going to take that jar back, and I'm going to ink this up with my Memento, and I'm going to stamp that right down here in the corner. Okay, straight down, straight up. And now I'm going to come in and I'm going to ink up those leaves, and I'm going to do the same thing. And for my leaves, I want them, I'm going to cover this with a piece of ribbon, so it really doesn't matter, but I want them as close to that top rim of my jar as possible so that they fit in my jar. Okay, so down and up. And I know it looks like a hot mess, but it'll look fine. Then the last thing I'm going to do is stamp my flowers. And I'm going to ink those again up in my Memento. And I'm going to bring them down, and I'm going to line the bottom. I'm going to line the bottom part here, which is this right here, as close to the top of that jar as possible. And down. I'll make sure I get a good image, and up. There we go. And like I said, it really does look like a hot mess. But have no fear, it's going to look beautiful when we're done. So to color everything in, I'm going to use assortment 1 and assortment 2 of the watercolor pencils. Now, assortment 1, the colors I'm using from here are the crushed curry, and I'm not going to make you watch me do all of my coloring, because that would be pretty painful, don't you think? So I'm going to just show you real quickly how I did it. So here is the crushed curry, and I'm just going to, I want this to be a deep sunflower. So I'm just going to do one, and then I'll show you how what I did to get it to blend nicely. So here are all my petals are all colored. Now, if you use colored pencils, you know that you can always see the lines in them. You see that? You can. It's not nice and clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my blender brush, my blender pen, and even though I just took it out of my drawer, I'm going to swipe it and make sure that it is good and clean. Oh, see, there's a little bit of yellow on that. So now I'm going to come in, and I'm just going to go over everything that I just colored with the colored pencil. And it's going to blend it all together. And when I show you the end result, you're going to see how different it is. Let me bring that up to the camera, and you can see that it's now all blended. You can't see the lines of the pencil. So I'm going to go off camera and finish all of my coloring, and then I'll come back and we'll finish putting the card together. Okay, I finished all of my coloring, and this is my end result. Now I'm just going to tell you what colors I did use from the, it's a mixture of assortment 1 and assortment 2. I used the Old Olive for all of the greenery in the top and on the bottom. I used the Balmy Blue for the water. I used Rich Razzleberry for this flower up here. I used Early Espresso for the insides of my sunflowers. I used Gorgeous Grape for these two little irises. I used Melon Mambo for this little rose down here, and I used the crushed curry for the sunflower. So now my card is done. I'm just going to do my stamping. So with my Gorgeous Grape stamp pad, I'm going to use the sentiments from the Peaceful Moments stamp set. I'm going to use Happy Birthday and wishing you every happiness this special day will bring. So, and you'll recall I had a little black smudge there. I did use my mono, it's from Tombow. It's a little eraser, they call it, but it's more like a little delicate sander. So I used that to just try to, air quotes, erase my little black smudge. So now I'm going to ink this up in my Gorgeous Grape and straighten this up, and I'm going to write up here in the corner, straight down, straight up, happy birthday. And then on the other piece of Whisper White that was 4 by 5 and a quarter, I'm going to ink up the inside sentiment of my card. And we're going to go straight down, straight up. That's the end of my stamping. So now I have to put this actually, you know what? I'm going to put this on the inside of my card before I get ink all over it. So this is going to go on the inside of my card right here. So the inside is done. And this one here is going to go on the outside, the front of my card. But I still have to finish putting my vase together. So I'm going to show you how I did that. Okay, so remember that jar that we stamped on the window sheet. I'm going to come in with the punch, the jar punch, and I'm going to punch this out. And it might be a little hard for you to see because it is a window sheet and I have a light from my camera flashing right at it. And there it is. And there's my cute little jar. Now before I attach my jar over here, and you see it's going to cover these black lines from my stamp, so that doesn't look as much as a hot mess as it did before. Before I do that, I'm going to attach my ribbon. Now this customer, with her order, she ordered 3/16" braided linen trim. I did not have this, but I did have this old, it just actually retired last year, and it's like a jute. Let's see. It's a braided burlap trim, and it's 5/18 inch. So I'm going to cut myself a couple pieces, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this before I actually do it. This piece here, I'm going to attach like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do there is I'm going to use my snail, and I'm going to just put it on the ends because I don't want it all over the back because I don't want it to be too raised. So I'm going to line that up right over that inked image, and I'm going to press it behind. Okay? And now I'm going to trim some of this off because I'm going to run some more of this trim through it, and I don't want it to be too bulky. Okay? So I'm going to use my glue dots. Just as a little extra reinforcement. I guess I could probably just use the glue dots. Here's my glue dot. Okay. And so there we have the back part of that. Now I want to make it look, I want to give it a little scarf. So I'm going to cut another little piece off. I'm going to slide it in there and just drape it over so it looks like it's been a tied little knot. Now this obviously is going to need some glue dots to keep it down. So I'm going to come in with my glue dots after I figure out where I want it. And that looks about right to me. I'm going to put a glue dot back there. And we're going to bring this one down. I'm going to put a glue dot right there. glue dot right there. Now that looks good. This one here is fraying just a bit, and I want to just try to add some glue there so that it won't fray as much. So now how I'm going to attach this to my card is, again, more glue dots for the top part here. Okay, it's a glue dot there. Doesn't want to come off. And a glue dot there. Now, if I were to put glue dots along the edges here, you'd be able to see it. So I'm going to use a glue pen. And I'm just going to go over the edges of that. Now remember, I'm on the back side of this, so it's not going to smudge my ink. Okay, and I'm just going to put it wherever I need it to be. I'm going to carefully turn it over. I'm going to line up those lines, and I'm going to press. And there we have it. The last thing I'm going to do is add some rhinestones. Now, as you can see, I got a little black dot there. I don't know how I got that. So, this is where you use your rhinestones as a way to disguise. So, I'm going to change up my rhinestone placement a little bit. 1, 2. I might have to go with 5 instead of 3 on this one, which is fine. I do like to do things in odd numbers, but it doesn't always work out that way. And we'll put one up here. So there we go. Happy birthday. Wishing you every happiness this special day will bring. And there is our finished card. I hope you enjoyed this project. And if you do not have a demonstrator with whom you work, certainly contact me through my blog, www.stampwithanna.blogspot.com, and I'll be happy to drop a brand new catalog in the mail to you. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you'd give my video a thumbs up, and if you would subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much. Have a great day, and I'll catch you back here later.